Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to this Google Hangout. My name is Josh Cary of Pet Sittingology, and this is absolutely one of my favorite times of the week where I get to fire up the webcam, go live on a Google Hangout webinar session on a topic that is important and relevant to us. As always, it's incredibly satisfying to see some familiar faces and some new faces. Make sure to feel free to use that chat box for your questions and comments along the way, and we'll address them accordingly. You're attending Google Analytics 101 for pet care professionals. We're going to go through everything you need to know from the basic and the little more involved when it comes to Google Analytics. And I'm not doing this alone. We're going to screen share. We're going to use real pet sitting business analytics to show you what's important, what some industry averages are, and what you could and should be doing based on your own results. So before we get too far into that, like I said, I'm not flying solo. I have two incredibly skilled and talented and, dare I say, really good friend co-pilots of mine. Let me start by introducing Laura Capra and Tori Lattig. First, over to you, Laura. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing? Excited to be here. I've learned a lot from analytics, so excited to share that with everybody to see how you can learn more about your site and use those numbers to get more clients.
That's right, and I do want to thank you, Laura, because it's going to be your real live analytics that we're going to be, and those are, to some people, those are really personal statistics, so I just want to thank you for opening up and sharing that with us.
Not a problem.
And also we have Tori Lattig from Endless Possibilities and Positive Consulting. How are you, Tori?
I'm good. I'm really excited to be a part of this, so thank you.
Excellent, and I'm very excited to have you as part of it. Now, everybody on board, I do and have done these one-on-one sessions with pet professionals to sort of go through your own analytics with you and determine what's working, what's not working, give some tangible suggestions of what you could and should be doing based on those results. And Laura and I did this with her analytics a couple of months ago, but Tori and I have not done it. So while we're going to be going through all of that, Laura has done it. So I'm glad to have Tori's perspective as well, so we can get that sort of unity and perspective. Like I said, I'm Josh Cary. For those that aren't familiar with my my history, about 8 years ago, I formed my own pet sitting business in New York City, Alicia's Animals, and from there I've actually been building websites for small businesses for over 15 years, and to date I still build websites and I host hundreds of pet care professionals' websites, so I can see a lot of averages and I see what and where we need help with. So I'm really excited to have some new faces on board coming along and just getting in our mix. This is recorded, so you will have it to resort back to. There's going to be a lot of information so you can take notes. Like I said, the chat box is there for you. We want you to interact as we go forward with your questions. So with that, let me ask you a question out of the gate for you all participating live today. So here we are with Google Analytics. I know that we all come to the table with different impressions and different experiences. Let me know where you currently sit in terms of Google Analytics and what you're hoping to get out of this one session. In other words, what would make this an absolute win for you? Take a few minutes. Type your response into that chat box. And while we're waiting for the responses to roll in, I want to throw it over to you, Laura, because like I said, you and I did that session where we looked at your analytics specifically, we broke it down, we determined where you can make some improvements, what those improvements were. Tell me what it was like for you going into that, because I know that you were sort of new to that whole world, just like many of our attendees might be. So what was that whole experience like for you?
I was new to it, and everybody's biased about their website. They think it's the greatest website. out there, and they should. You should absolutely love your website and what's on it. So I was pretty confident going in, and then to see the numbers, because the numbers don't lie. It's not asking for your friend's opinion of, oh, do you like the font? Do you like the colors? Do you like the pictures? It's straight up numbers. They don't lie. So I learned some good numbers that we have of what we're doing things right, and I also learned some surprising numbers, that things that we need to fix, and our bounce rate is really high. Bounce rate means people that go to your website and only stay on one page before they leave, so they're not going to another page. So if it's your services page or your contact me page, your bounce rate can be a little high on that page, because if the only page they were on was the contact me page and they contacted us and they became a client, that bounce rate, it's okay to be high, but kind of if you were on our home page or our gallery page, our bounce rate was still a little high. So I was a little surprised at those numbers, a little embarrassed about those numbers, and kind of wondering what we can do to improve those numbers as we move forward for Google Analytics. So it was eye-opening and very empowering, because now we kind of know from behind the scenes of what we need to do to make it better. And just because I like our website does not mean that potential clients like our website. So
That's right.
I'm not designing and working on my site for me personally. I'm working and designing my site for potential clients. So I need them to have a good time. So you can think that you have the best website in the world, but your clients don't. So that's kind of where the balance comes in, and what I learned of to make it user-friendly. If it was a navigation issue, if it's a picture issue, it's a big mobile issue for us. We did not have a very good mobile website, and it's a mobile world. People are on their phones all the time. That's where they're going to come up with information. So we're going to get a better mobile website, because that's how people are finding us, can find us, will find us. So that's what we can work on.
Yeah, and that's all things we're going to touch upon when we screen share and go through your exact results. And I want to highlight one specific word you said that makes complete sense. It was when you said empowering, because looking at your analytics, and this is something for everybody tuning in today, that's why understanding and knowing your analytics is so important, because without it, you are literally operating in the dark. You can think that you're looking at your website, and if you are not showing up in Google, or not getting traffic, or not getting leads, or not getting people to contact you, you can think you know what may help that along, but Google Analytics is going to give you the exact impression of what in the world is happening. So you know specifically whether or not you have a bigger issue of not showing up in Google, or is the issue that people are landing on your site but they're just not connecting? Are they engaging but they're just not making contact? So incredibly so, you're going to see how seeing the big picture, which is tying everything together with Google Analytics, so you know what in the world is happening with your site and what changes you can make to improve. Even if you have a very effective working website, seeing your analytics is going to show you how to take things up a notch and the next level. Which brings me to another point. I keep referencing this one-on-one session that I did with Laura, and she's not exclusive. I do those regularly with pet professionals. I get on a usually it goes about 45 to 60 minutes of a phone call, and we dissect your analytics. If you're interested in that, stay tuned towards the end of this, because we're opening up enrollment to Cary Institute, which is our new project, our new mastermind group in a sense. It's mastermind, it's marketing, it's magic. That's the tagline for you. So if you're interested in taking everything we talk about even further, if you want to book one of those one-on-one sessions with me to go through your analytics at the end of all this, make sure you stay tuned, because Cary Institute online at cary.io, you're going to get a great intro rate that will last you the lifetime of your membership. And you'll also be able to book one of those one-on-one sessions with me. So without further ado, let's jump right into it and go into Laura's analytics. Ladies, if you could also help man that. I know you've been responding. Anything out of the gate you want to add, Tori, about what we see and what we're doing?
I think that this is really just going to help take down the intimidation factor, because I know for me, Google Analytics sounds awesome, but it just also sounds super intimidating. So I can't wait to get in there and see what you guys are pointing out and looking at, so that I can ease that fear for myself, and I know that'll probably help other people too.
That's right. And you, Tori, you've taken the art of creating content to a whole new level, because I know you've been blogging for quite some time. How long have you actually been blogging on a regular basis these days?
Probably for a year and a half.
And have you seen direct results from that?
We have seen results, and it's been really interesting to see what articles people are looking at, and the ones that I didn't think would really have an impact are the ones that are being the most sought after.
Yeah, and I know that you've also kicked it up a notch by creating videos. I see you and your business partner, Megan, just creating videos, which is a whole other topic of conversation.
It is.
Right, yeah, parts of that conversation are the things that we're going to help you take it up a notch, so to speak, inside Cary Institute. So we're going to help you every step of the way. And Rita made a comment here saying, my eyes glaze over when I look at Google Analytics, and you're not alone. So believe me, like the ladies here are saying, it can be a little intimidating, but let's jump right into it and keep this dialogue going for your questions and comments, and hopefully this will show you what's important, what results you could and should be looking at, and what to do with the information. So let's get right to it. I'm going to share my screen now. That was the... Give me a second. I hear somebody's at... All right. Do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
You do indeed. Okay, so whether or not you have the tracking code on your website, you're going to visit google.com/analytics. And this will bring you to a screen very similar to like this. And if you see on the top right side here, it says Access Google Analytics. When you click that, it's going to bring you to your analytics dashboard. And inside your analytics dashboard, I just jumped over to the new account page, because I don't need to spend a lot of time on this. But for those of you that don't even have Google Analytics set up on your website, the process takes literally about 10 seconds to set up and to generate your tracking code. And once you fill this out, an account name, your website URL, the main homepage to your website, and a couple of other things, and you click Get Tracking ID, it will instantly give you the tracking ID that you insert into the header area of your website. If this is foreign to you, just send me an email. I could practically install it for you. If you're one of the pet professionals using my website or even using WordPress, it's very easy to do, and I can help you through that. So once you log in, here we go. Can you see the audience overview page? Ladies, can you see that on your screen?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So here we are on the audience overview page. This is where you're going to arrive when you enter into your analytics. And by default, if you see on the top right here, it gives you a date range. By default, it will always give you the past 30-day range. So for this entire session, we're going to be focusing on the past 30 days. If you wanted to get bigger or a different time frame, all you have to do is drop this down, and here you have your calendar, and you can select any date range you want to compare and view your analytics. But again, we're going to stick with the 30-day. So everything we talk about is in that range. So here on your audience overview, it gives you a handful of good metrics that you should and could be looking at. The first one is sessions. And if you see, if I hover over most of these things, it will actually give me a definition of what it is. So if I hover over users, it'll tell me that. It'll tell me exactly what the metric or analytic really means. So sessions is important. This is sort of like your go-to number to know how popular your website currently is. So right now, the number of sessions is about a visitor. So in the past 30 days on Laura's website, she has 522 sessions. And you can see the graph up here that supports all of that. You can see per day. You can see some spikes here. On Tuesday, October 14th, she spiked. She also spiked over here on October 27th, spiked around over here where she had 46 visits, etc. So here, looking at the 522 sessions number, she's averaging, that's right under 20 visits, about 15 to 20 visits a day. And between you and me, that's really average in a good way. That's a good average that I see a lot of pet sitters and pet care professionals reaching. So you want to be in this 500 plus number for sessions, because that's the number of people that are accessing your site across the 30 days. Now going back to the graph here, you can see where you spiked some days. Here on October 14th, here on October 27th, and here on November 4th. So that tells me that something you did on that day worked because it drew you more traffic. So you can start taking notes for yourself to keep a running log of some of the things you're doing and then go back and see if it had an impact. So Laura, if you can remember what you did on these specific days, I would say it's working, and do it more regularly. So here you have the sessions. So again, she's averaging 15 to 20 a day, which is a good number for our industry. Another good metric on this page is page views. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's how many total pages across the 30 days that we're looking at have been accessed. So she has 1,053. You can easily see that this divided by that brings us to another good metric, which is pages per session, 2.02. That means that for every visitor, they are accessing 2.02 on average pages per session. That again is right in line with what I see pet professionals achieving. I rarely see 3 or 4, although if you have anything above 2, you're in good shape. If you have 1.5 or 1.7 or 8, that's also good, but could make room for improvement. Of course, if you have 0 point anything, that means that your users are barely accessing a page, and that would require some change. But 2 is fine. Average session duration, the average length of a visit. So here we see she has 2 minutes and 10 seconds, which is wonderful. I think anything over a minute and a half is very good. If you have anything under a minute, you want to investigate that, because if you have anything less than a minute, that means that your site is not effective, meaning when people visit and access your website, they are not staying for any real length of time. They're not engaging. And that's what you want them to do. So anything over a minute 30, 40 or more, even well into 2 minutes, you're in good shape, as Laura is here. Finally on this page, and then we'll break it down a little further, we have the bounce rate. There's been lots of discussion about bounce rate. Here, Laura's bounce rate, and she knows this, is a little high. It's 70%. For our industry, if you can get your bounce rate inside of 50%, you'll be in good shape. So let's ask the obvious question. What in the world does bounce rate mean? Bounce rate is the percentage of people who visit your site, land on the first page that they enter. It could be your home page, it could be a blog post, it could be any page, but it's the percentage of people who land on your website and leave, bounce, without ever investigating further or clicking through a second page. So it's the percentage of people that only visit one page on your site and leave. So obviously this suggests that they didn't get what they were looking for. They didn't find what they were looking for. They didn't feel engaged or inspired enough to go further into your site after viewing just one page. So naturally you want that a little lower. Like I said, anything inside 50% is going to be good, and that should be your goal. I imagine Laura's bounce rate is a little on the higher side because she does a lot of blogging, and I know she promotes those individual blog posts. So most typically she'll send traffic to a blog post. People will read it. They might even comment on it or share it, but then that's about it, which is probably accounting for the high bounce rate. What's on your mind at this point, Laura?
No, it's just great to go through all of the numbers and kind of look at everybody's comments and things like that. Nikki brought up a great point that a high bounce rate does not mean that my website is not functioning for me. It really means that you want to make sure that your contact information is prominently displayed on the top of every single screen, because we have increased our new clients that we get from our website. So it's working for us. So bounce rate isn't the whole picture, it's just a part of the picture, and it shows you that you want to make sure your contact information is on every single screen. So it's been working.
That's right, and I totally agree with what Nikki is saying. A high bounce rate does not mean your website is ineffective. It just means that people may have picked up the phone and called. Absolutely, and it also might mean, like I said, Laura drives a lot of traffic to her blog posts, so maybe she's sending people right to that, and they get what they need to out of it, and all is good. So depending on what your goal is, that is just one metric that gives you the entire picture. And again, you bring up a good point, because none of this is exclusive. None of this is inclusive, meaning you have to look at all of this in the big picture. So what I might be saying may not apply to you for a variety of other factors. We had a conversation on our boards recently where somebody said, my bounce rate might be high, but that's because I send all of my clients to my home page. So they're visiting one page, and then they click on the pet sitting software scheduling button, and now they're off the site. So technically that does increase the bounce rate, but you see that's not anything that you have to worry about. Separately, there are ways to dictate that those buttons do not count towards your bounce rate, but that's for another day.
I think, too, that we found out, and I think we'll go through here, my bounce rate for mobile was 100%. So nobody was getting to my site on mobile, which is huge. So I'm looking at that to get a better mobile site so we can keep up with the mobile technology and stuff like that. So with that bounce rate, I'll definitely apply a change to my website. With the website, kind of 70%, that's not my goal. So.
Correct. And let me address a couple of questions here. Great questions. Molly said, can you explain the difference between sessions and users? Great question. If you notice, I sort of glazed over users. Users signify unique users. I am more interested in sessions, which is the overall meaning. If I visit your website today, I'm a user. But if I then visit your website on Wednesday, I'm still just one user, but I will account for another session. So the session sort of gives you that bigger picture. There was one other question. Beth asks a good question. Bounce rate means how long they're on your site. What is that time limit? No, bounce rate doesn't mean how long they're on your site. The pages per session shows how long they're on your site. The bounce rate is a percentage of the percentage of visitors who view one page on your site for any length of time and then leave without going to any second page. So it suggests that they're not investigating further. But again, like Nikki pointed out, this isn't always a bad thing and doesn't always give you the complete picture depending on your style, your results, your pages. I'm going to go back over. Screen share.
Those were all the really good questions that were asked.
Yeah, and we'll certainly keep this conversation going. This is an in-depth dialogue, so we'll make sure to get these questions answered for you. Again, keep an eye out for the Cary Institute, because that is one place where this is just going to get so much more involved. But let's keep this session going right here. Okay, you see my screen, ladies?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. All right, so here's your overview. We went through that. Now we're going to go through the individual important parts. On the left menu here, you'll see you have a handful of options. We're going to touch upon three big sections. We're going to touch upon audience, and if you see you click on it, it'll open up all of the levels underneath. We're going to click on acquisition, and we're going to go through behavior. The audience, as you'll see, is going to tell you all about the who is on your site. Acquisition is going to show you the how they found your site. And behavior is going to go through all of the what they are doing on your site. Suffice it to say that if I do not touch upon a certain metric, it means that it's not relevant or it's way more involved for this session. So trust that everything we go over in detail today will give you plenty of insight. And this is the sort of thing we go through on your one-on-one sessions when we're breaking down your own. So let's start with audience. Again, if you click on it, it'll open up all of the options. And we just saw the overview here. Now we're going to go down here to behavior. We open it up. And we're going to go to engagement. This gives you a quick, at-a-glance graph of the length of time that people are spending on your site. So of the 522 sessions or visits that Laura got this past month, you see that session duration, the length of time somebody stays on her site, is broken down into chunks. So here we have 0 to 10 seconds, 11 to 30 seconds, 31 to 60 seconds, and on and on. So here you can see that the vast majority of her sessions are lasting 0 to 10 seconds. So that is one thing that you want to observe, because that means the vast majority of her users are bouncing within 10 seconds. And that's something important that I always say, that we have under 10 seconds to grab your visitors' attention and get them involved and engaged and excited and inspired to investigate further. But the good thing about this graph, because all hope is not lost, because Laura might be saying, oh, geez, the vast majority are staying inside 10 seconds. However, the next few popular graphs here are 3 to 10 minutes, as you see here, and 10 minutes beyond here, and even 1 to 3 minutes. So a good chunk of the remaining are staying several minutes, which is good. So if you see that the vast majority are inside of 0 to 10 seconds, what does that mean? It means that you want to make sure that you're presenting your information on the page in a very deliberate, literal, engaging way. You want to make sure that you use images, that you use videos, that you use short paragraphs, that you use bold headlines, that you use lists, you use question and answers, anything that you can use to lay things out on the page to make sure that you are giving each visitor the required information they want, need, and are looking for, so they feel compelled to investigate further. How does that sound, Laura? Is that pretty accurate?
Yep. So actually, and one thing that we went through when we did this of what my most popular page was and what my most popular blog post was, so then I could replicate those because that's what my visitor wants. So if it's a top 10 questions that pet sitters get, top 10 questions that dog walkers get, if you're a dog groomer, what are your most popular questions? So it was really helpful for me to figure out how to fine-tune what my visitors like so I can give them more of that to engage them, to keep them on my site, to have them stay on my site for longer.
That's right, and you make such a great point that I want everybody watching to understand. This is not only about to find the glaring holes where you can make improvements, while that's one important factor of all this, it's also there to show you what in the world is currently working. Why? So you do more of that. If you're just building content and creating content and adding pages and answering questions, which you absolutely should do, you need to know which are landing correctly for your audience. So things like this are going to point out as we go even further. You're going to be able to see what is effectively working so you can do more of just that. So you can do more of those style of blog posts if that's what it is. Or you can add more videos if you see your audience loves them. Or you can add more FAQ topics if they're engaging with that. This engagement page will give you an at-a-glance, and it's important at a glance to see the general session duration of your visitors. Now we're going to move on to under behavior. We have technology. So when you click on it, it opens up this. And now we're going to click on browser and OS, operating system, of course. And here we scroll down and we see of all of the sessions that Laura received this month, 522, we see the vast majority. Did you even know this, Laura? You see it even gives you a percentage of the whole here. So did you know that 280 out of the 522, which happens to represent 53%, are using the Chrome browser? While only 16%, 88 visitors of the 522, are using Firefox, and on and on. 14% are using Safari, and Internet Explorer, 14% as well. So what do you do with this information? Well, at the very least, what I would suggest you do is pull up your own website in these browsers, especially the most popular ones up front here, just to make sure that everything looks the way it should, is operating the way it should, and feels the way it should. It's also interesting to note here, whenever we see going forward, including here, whenever you see a chart like this, you're going to get very similar metrics that break it down for you on such a specific, mind-blowing level that it's not even funny. Let me give you an example, and then we'll see other examples of how you can use this as well. So here we see that Chrome accounts for over 50% of her user browsers. But that also accounts for, now you look under here where it says bounce rate, now it's breaking it down for you per browser. So her bounce rate for those using Chrome is 72%. Her bounce rate for those using Firefox is 65%. You can also see pages per session for each metric. So Chrome is 1.92 pages a session, but look at this, Safari, while it's a less common browser, they're consuming over 2.5 pages. On the other hand, Firefox, you go over 1 here, now you see the average session duration for each metric here. Firefox users are staying almost 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So those break down the analytics even further whenever you see these. Now, this specific one won't give you so much useful data because you really can't target a Chrome user versus a Firefox user per se, but just keep that in mind because it's going to get really intriguing coming right up.
Josh, really quick, Michelle asked a really great question, and so
Go
she
for
wants
it.
to know if these stats include the times Laura visited her own page.
That is a great question. Let me come back to the session here for a moment. Here we are. So she wants to know, are these stats we are seeing here including the times Laura visits her own site too? Great question. And the answer is yes. But here's the thing, because this is a popular question and a popular thing that I was going to address soon, but why not now here? So we are probably the most popular visitor to our site, right? We visit the front page for a variety of reasons. Google is so darn powerful that there are ways to exclude your own visits from appearing. Basically, what you're going to do is grab your IP address because you're going to want to exclude it via IP address. So you'll find your IP address from your computer and then add that to Google Analytics as a filter to exclude it. It might sound crazy. I promise you it's not. In fact, inside Cary Institute, I have a short video that walks you through that. It's very easy to do. So once you get up and running, you will want to exclude your own visits from your website. So to answer your question specifically, Michelle, these do in fact at this point include Laura's visits. We have recently added her IP address, so it'll level out going forward. But yes. What else?
And I don't actually visit, if I visit my site, I go through WordPress and the dashboard. I don't usually visit my site as a general user.
Correct. But I will say, and I did notice that you, like all of us, when we're creating a blog post, you will preview the blog post, and guess what? That counts, because the code is on, yeah, so when you preview, it's there.
Okay.
Yeah, and Nikki, you're absolutely right. That's exactly right. You can block the IP address. Anything else before I get back to the screen share? How are we doing over here on the chat box?
Good.
Yeah, we're good. Beth wants to know if the IP address is different every time. Is there a way to fix that?
Well, yes. You could, an IP address, and again, this might get a little techie, but yes, there are ways. An IP address is a string of numbers divided up by dots, like 143.56.71. Typically, if your IP address changes, a portion of that will remain the same. So you can tell Google if the string of IP starts with this and then this part changes, to exclude it even so. And there are other ways to exclude your own visit, and we can get more in depth in that conversation. All right. And as always, continue to let me know if there's anything that is a good question. Feel free to jump right in. Okay, so you see my screen share here.
Yep.
All right. All right, we're going to go over to, we just looked at behavior. Now we're going to look at the mobile section over here. When you click on mobile, it really gives you, I'll click on overview first. Mobile overview. Now, whether you realize it or not, and really you should realize it because we all live and breathe in our phones, your users, your audience, your ideal clients are no different, right? In fact, mobile use is getting so much more popular that, get this, Google has an ongoing algorithm that they use to determine where every single web page across the universe will land in their results for any single search term. They closely guard this algorithm. It's over 200 signals So they have over 200 pieces of their closely guarded puzzle that they use to determine where a web page is going to rank. We as webmasters know probably about 20 or 25 of those signals, and that's SEO, and that's what we have control over, and that's what we can help. But the vast majority will never know. But mobile is becoming so popular that Google is starting to reward websites with a mobile version higher than a website that isn't. Why is that? It's because Google's only and number one job is to serve its customer as bestly as possible. And who is their customer? Their customer is the search user. It's you and I, it's everybody searching for your service. So Google needs to serve them in such a way that the top 10 results on the Google page is in essence Google saying, we love this website for what you are asking, your search query, that we are putting our reputation on the line and saying this is probably your 10 best options for what you are asking. Go forth and prosper. Obviously, if the search user clicks on a link that Google recommends, because that's what they're doing, they're recommending your site, they're sticking up for you, they're almost partnering with you, saying, yeah, we love your website. We think that for this search term, your website is one of the best, so we're going to show it. And a mobile version allots for a solid user experience. Google knows that more and more search users are searching via mobile. So if you have a mobile version of your website, Google's going to feel more proud, in a sense, to show it. That's why a mobile version is so important and is becoming a more important signal in Google's eyes when it comes to SEO. Is that clear? I hope
it is
so.
clear, and I think it's a really great point, because personally I hate the mobile versions of all websites, so I never use them, and I never really thought about what mine looks like, but this makes me wonder and realize that I need to consider that.
Yeah, over time, over the next weeks and the next months and the next year, mobile is going to dominate desktop, and you need to be prepared for that. So this metric inside analytics shows you, and this is where it really gets interesting, this shows you what percentage are using desktop versus tablet versus mobile. So here, of the 522 that Laura had this past month, an astounding 464, which as you see is 88% of the whole, 88% are using desktop, while almost 10%, 52, are looking at it from a tablet. Interesting. And only 1%, 6, are looking at from a mobile device. Now, this is surprising because usually this is quite high for a pet sitter's website. Usually I'll see anywhere between 60 or 70, even 80% using desktop, but you have almost 90%. Doesn't matter. It's not one way, neither here nor there. Just know that tablet and mobile are extremely important going forward, and I know you've been working on that. So here is one of those great big charts where we can actually do something with the data. So we see desktop accounts for the top majority here, 464 sessions, but now we go over and we can compare things like bounce rate, pages per session, and average session duration. So let me explain that. For desktop, we see the bounce rate is 70% right here. We see that your tablet user bounce rate is a little lower, 65%. And your mobile bounce rate is 100%. And it looks like you don't have any real, I don't know, it's showing 0, 0, so you have like no real data to show. But you know to work that up by getting your mobile site up to speed, which I know you're working on. Yep. So here, let's compare desktop and tablet. because almost 10%, which is a significant enough number, 10% are visiting on a tablet. And guess what? Your tablet bounce rate versus desktop is lower. So that means that more people are engaging further with your website on a tablet, and they're actually staying almost 20 seconds longer when they're visiting on a tablet. So I would make sure you do what? I would make sure you get hold of a tablet and pull up your website to see how it looks and to make sure it's operating as it should, because your numbers signify that it is, because you see here. So here's where it gets even better. Let's go back to the menu here. You see mobile overview. We're going to click on devices. This is incredibly going to break it down for you by mobile device. It's going to tell you the most popular devices and what they're using. So here we see Apple iPad is running the show. Of the 58 sessions that were using a mobile device in total, 39, which is 67%, are using an Apple iPad. Next in line is the iPhone. Scrolling down, you can see the Google Nexus 7. You see the Samsung Galaxy. Somebody's visiting with an Amazon Kindle Fire. How cool. You have a BlackBerry Bold here, etc. So here, what's amazing about this is, again, you have these columns. You can now compare each one. You can compare the iPad with the iPhone and the Samsung Galaxy. You can compare those bounce rates. So here you have the iPad has a bounce rate of 64%, average pages 2.18, and average session is 2 minutes 4 seconds. So you look at something like this, and it just gives you all of this incredible analysis for each specific thing. So this just gives you part of that whole picture where you want to make sure you are optimizing for mobile devices. Any comments on this one?
It's so crazy that you can see all of that and figure out how to make it work better for your website. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have really big numbers, and then you can get really specific numbers. So you can find all of the information that you want, whether you want the broad overview or to get specific down to the actual device that people are using. There's so many things, so many numbers that they collect.
Right. And now you're going to see the next metric we're going to look at is the last one in the audience tab, and then we'll go over to acquisition and behavior. The last one in the audience tab, this gets freaky and cool. It's called users flow. And look at this. You see what's on the screen here? There's like a flow chart in a sense. This is actually going to show you the path that each visitor takes on your site. Meaning, you're going to see, of all the people that enter your site via the homepage, for example, what the very next pages that they view are. So take a look at the screen, because this is wild. Here in this column, this middle column, when it says slash, you see all of this have words next to it. But if it says slash, this is your home page. So obviously the vast majority are entering through your home page. Now you can see, if you follow the graph here,
Guest bedroom.
of the 199 of the people who are entering your home page, the next popular page, 30 of them, as it says right there, 30 of them go to your services page, while 21 of those home page visitors go next to your About Us page. And going over even more, of the people who go from your home page to your services page, you see the graph here, 8 of them go to your frequently asked questions page. So you can actually see the path that the majority of your visitors are taking. So let's break this down for a moment. So first of all, I'm going to click on this, and it brings me a few options here. All I did was I just clicked on this big green box. You can click on any one of them and get the same pop-up box. So let's look at the home page here. I'm going to click on highlight traffic through here. I just click on it, and basically it's going to do what it says. It's going to isolate, it's going to highlight the traffic to and from that page so I don't get confused with all of the other lines. So now I have a clear picture of where they're going from the home page and beyond. Okay, I'm going to clear the highlighting by clicking on that again. Then I am going to explore traffic through here. So now when I explore traffic through here, I see that, I'm sorry, let me go back for a minute. I'm not going to explore traffic. We are looking at the menu here. I'm going to go to group details. That's what I'm going to do. And Laura, this is how I knew you were viewing a lot of your blog, because this preview link, this is showing me the page. This is picking up your preview for your blog post, right? So now, when you preview this just gives you a little deeper of a look. Unfortunately, it's not very pretty, because a lot of these pages is simply Laura viewing or previewing her blog posts like she should. However, when you start going down here, you can see this row, it says starting pages. You see up here, this is a column that says starting pages. That means your entrance page. So again, the vast majority are coming into your home page, but these people, 53 people, are visiting this page. And then you can see where they go from there. So here you have this is your blog post, Laura, questions about people ask dog walkers. And then you can see of the people that enter, they go through this path. So using the home page, let's determine what you could and should be doing with this information. Well, let's start with the most obvious. You have your starting page here, your home page. I'm going to highlight the traffic. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to highlight traffic so I can isolate that. Now I see the next two most popular pages, and this part is so important, the next two most popular pages that people visit once they enter my home page, they're going to the services page and they're going to the About Us page. There's also a bunch of other pages here you can see, but let's just focus on these two. What this means, I would simply, with this information, knowing that people are going from my home page and then my services page and my About Us page, I would immediately go back to my services page, About Us page, and look at those with fresh eyes. Make sure that how that page is laid out and what that page offers gives your user so much excitement, so much inspiration that they love what they see, they are getting the answers to their questions, and they are inspired and motivated to get in touch. So make sure any pressing piece of information you want to point out is easily viewable on that services page, because that's one of the second most popular pages somebody visits after visiting your homepage. And then look at your About Us page and make sure it's not just an About Us page how you think it should be, but make sure, is it answering all the questions my ideal visitor would be asking so they have no choice but to get in touch with me? Does it have a picture of you? Does it answer the questions? How much? How do you? What if? How do I? How do you? Do you have a big call to action? Are you doing everything you possibly can to give them the tools and the motivation to get in touch? Is what I'm saying making sense? I want to take a quick break here, get some chatter and dialogue going in that chat box. Let me know how you find it. Are you with me? Are you enjoying this? Are you getting some light bulb moments? What do you guys see in the chat box while we're waiting?
Beth was asking how, when you put your tracking code in, do you have to put it onto every page of the website, or is there a special place that you use it if you've got like the Yoast plugin?
Good question. So the question is, where do you place your tracking code? Yes, you need to place it on every page of your website. In other words, you place it on every page that you want tracked, which typically will be every page of your website. You can put it in your header code. So whenever any page is loaded, and anytime you create a new page, if you're using WordPress or your HTML template should replicate that header chunk, it will automatically put the tracking code in there. Beth's asking about the Yoast plugin. The Yoast plugin is sort of parallel to what we're talking about. There's no real space for the tracking code. You can find where to put your tracking code. If you want to shoot me an email and you're not sure, again, if you're using WordPress, it's beyond easy. If you're using my WordPress system to run your website, it's even easier. If you're not sure, shoot me an email. I can direct you exactly where you need to be. What else do we have in the comments here before we go on to the next section?
Mary Page said that this is so hugely valuable, and she really likes seeing the traffic pattern. Mike said that the flow chart is excellent. Cool. Sean said he needs to figure out how to get the code on, so that's something that you can help him with later.
Correct. Lynn says, does iPad count as a tablet? Yes, it's interesting because didn't we see Apple iPad in the mobile? So I'm not too sure about that because it did seem like it would. I don't know. It does seem a little odd. We'll have to look into that further.
Mike just asked, what are the most common things you would look at month to month to help you get more business? That's a great question. That is a great question. There is no one real answer because, but I will give an answer. Because you'd want to look at everything in perspective for your business, your goals, and your current use of the website. Meaning, I get asked a lot, hey, Josh, can you help me land higher in Google, or can you help me get more traffic or more clients or conversion, that sort of a thing. And yes, I can, but the first thing we need to evaluate is how is your current...
It is, and I just started to reply a little bit. I'm going to kind of look at the pages that go second, that they look at third. I'm going to update, I'm going to refresh, I'm going to make sure I have a mobile site that works. So kind of using those numbers, so then in 3 months' time or so I can analyze the numbers to see if they're working. And if they're not working, then change it up again. So it's definitely a work in progress.
That's right, and so you want to figure out, first of all, where you might be falling short. Analytics is going to help you determine whether or not you're getting traffic, or whether or not you're getting traffic, but they're just not engaging or turning into clients. See, those are two parts of the SEO whole that I always harp on, because quite frankly you need to. All too often we only deal with how do I land in Google, how do I land in Google. Well, I can show you how to land in Google, but we have to make sure that once you're getting the traffic, that everything is in place on your page to give people the confidence and the excitement and motivation to get in touch. So to answer Mike's question, what would you focus on month to month? Well, first, personally, if something like engagement, let's say I'm getting traffic and that's not where I want to focus on. I really want to focus on giving my users the best experience possible, which, by the way, is exactly what Google rewards and becomes SEO. Listen to this. Google does not have the first say when it comes to where your website ranks in the engines for any search term. Let me repeat that because it's so important. Google does not have the first say in where your website lands when a search user is looking for your service. Who does? Your audience, your search user. That's the secret. That's the trick. That's what you have to realize. Your audience, your users, your interaction with your audience reports back whether you have analytics or not. Google is aware of what's going on. They inadvertently, by their actions, are reporting back to Google what's going on. So Google listens to them, their client, their customer, something we all do, right? Don't we listen to our audience? Don't we listen to our customers and clients to learn how we're doing, what we can do better? Google's the same way. So you want to make sure that your website is so effective, and that's what we're talking about. How do you make it even more effective? Let's assume you're getting the traffic. Now you want to make sure people are interacting. You want to look at time spent on your site. That's a great metric. If people are only spending 45 or 50 seconds on your website, let's look at what we can do to give more engagement. Let's look at how your elements are appearing on the page. Let's look at how your behind the scenes title tags and everything are falling into place, because maybe the search results that Google is showing is not really what your audience wants. Let's make sure that your site is coming up and visually appealing to your target market. So without getting too far into that, because wow, this is a huge subject, as you see, one that we will continue to talk about inside Cary Institute, but one element you want to focus on is not only the time each session is spending on your site. You want to see how many pages they're consuming. Perhaps you want to get your bounce rate lower, but I wouldn't actually focus on that too much if you are doing everything else correctly. So time spent on site is solid, and pages per session is solid. If you focus on those two to increase the amount of time people are spending on your site and increase the amount of pages that they are consuming, those two will keep you busy and will have a positive impact. Are you with me? I hope you are. Good?
Yeah, I think this is great. I'm learning a whole lot, and it seems like everyone else is too.
Oh, good. As I take a sip of water, let's get back to the screen share, shall we? And thanks, everybody, for spending your time here today. I really appreciate it. I love doing these with you guys. All right, so here we did, you saw I just clicked on this and it opens and closes it. So we did the audience. That's the who. This is telling you all about the who. Now we're going to click on acquisition, which is the how. This is how you got your audience. Acquisition overview is going to tell you, we're going to scroll down here to this graph. This is going to show you where your visitors are coming from. You see in Laura's situation, wow, usually you see number 2, organic search. That's exactly what it sounds like. The people who came through an organic search, either through Google or any other search engine. But organic search is number 2 to social, and number 3 is referral, and number 4 is direct. Weirdly enough, this is 99% of the time reversed. Usually you'll see organic search number 1 and non-social number 2. However, it does not matter. What this shows is that, my goodness, Laura, whatever in the world you are doing when it comes to social, you're kicking it. You're achieving it, because social accounts for the majority of your visitors. So let's break it down. Now we're going to click on social, and we're going to see Facebook, we're going to see Google+, and we're going to see Twitter. This means that of the 245 sessions that account for social, which is 46%, we see that 92%, right there it says so, 226 are coming from Facebook. So again, what do you do with that information? Keep doing it. It's working. You're drawing traffic from Facebook. That's incredible. You're also getting almost 7% through your Google Plus efforts, and you're getting less than 1% from Twitter. So what would I do there? Well, if you, Laura, happen to be putting any length of time into Twitter, I would stop because it doesn't seem to be working, or spend the vast majority of your time trying to improve Twitter, which I don't recommend. So here we see, again, this lovely chart. You see that we have Facebook and Google+. Let's focus on those two. Now we can go over and we see bounce rate, we see pages per session, we see average session duration. So now we can see, of the people who are coming from Facebook, how engaged are they? Well, 74% and a 76% bounce rate, which is okay. It's, of course, on the higher side, but guess what? I guarantee you Laura is posting blog posts on these social networks. So don't worry about bounce rate when it comes to a blog post, because you're getting the traffic. Make sure that people are sharing, make sure people are commenting, which is a whole other form of engagement. But this doesn't account for that sort of engagement. But what it does show you is pages per session. Of the people who come from Facebook, they are consuming 1.85 on average pages. So just under 2 pages, the same with Google. This is what's interesting. Facebook, of all the traffic coming from Facebook, you have an average session duration of almost 2.5 minutes. That is fantastic. 2.5 minutes in any session duration, no matter what the analytics is going to be wonderful. Not only that, you have 3.5 minutes from Google+. My goodness. So what does this mean? It means A, your blogs are working. People are reading them. How do we know? Because you see they're spending over 2.5 minutes reading it. People from Google Plus are spending 3.5 minutes on your site. How wonderful. So I would say keep doing what you're doing. Keep delivering traffic from Facebook. Kick it up a notch. Find other ways to draw traffic from Facebook. Improve your Google Plus. Try to get that up if you're interested, which I know you are, Laura. I know you love the platform. And they are receptive. They're sending you almost 7% of your entire social traffic, and they are spending time on your site. So keep doing more of what's working. And in this statistic, I would drop Twitter if, in fact, you happen to be putting any length of energy into that.
Not really.
Exactly. I didn't think so. So we're going to go back to overview. So we just did social to see. Now we're going to go to organic search, which is interesting because here it also gives you the bounce rate of each one. So social as a whole accounts for 73%, which is absolutely fine because I'm certain that you are sending them to a blog post, which, again, that's a win. You want users, you want your audience, you want your potential client at certain touch points. So if they consume one blog post, nod their head in agreement, and then leave, that's fine, as long as you continue to stay actively engaged with them. But look how wonderful this is. Of all the organic search traffic, they are bouncing 56%. Ding, 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 ding. Perfect. 56% is a wonderful bounce rate. You're in business. So let's click on organic search. Here's the thing. A lot of people think, because it used to be the case, that Google Analytics is going to show you exactly where you're landing in the search results for every single keyword. Unfortunately, this is not the place. A little while ago, Google Analytics, believe it or not, stopped providing specific data for individual keywords. Side note, if you want to use a tool like Google Webmaster Tools, which of course is a free tool by Google and one we can help you install as well, that's where you're going to get more specific insight into where your keywords are currently landing in Google. So unfortunately, this is not the place, and that's why I came over to this, because I just wanted to show you when you see, and this will be the case, you're going to see not provided under keyword, and that's 90% because Google will not provide it in this chart anymore. But let's go over to the Google organic traffic. So the Google organic traffic has a bounce rate, like I said before, 57%. That's wonderful. And of all the organic traffic that Google is sending you, they are consuming 2.26 pages, which I think is wonderful. Sure, you can look to increase that, but you are well on track. The majority of your visitors are consuming more than 2 pages. How wonderful is that? They're also spending a minute and 30.
I think that this really shows on the first page where my bounce rate showed 70%. When you really look at the numbers and the smaller pictures, they're much better. My bounce rate's 57%. They're spending over a minute and a half on my site. So you need to look at all of the different layers of the numbers to really understand what they mean. Don't be like, oh my God, my bounce rate's 70%.
Right.
That's okay.
Right.
Let's
And
look at all the little numbers because they count.
Right, and this is what we're saying. When you look at your overall picture, that'll just give you a snapshot. Like you're saying, if your bounce rate is 72% overall, you might say, oh my gosh, that's so high. But start breaking it down. Is it high because you're not mobile ready, and that's the majority of the people bouncing, so that's going to account? Or is it that you're sending traffic to your homepage to log in to your software, and now they're off your site? So you can drill down to specific pieces of metrics, just like you said.
Yep. And that's why I'm still getting clients from the website, even though the initial bounce rate is high. So there's so many cool numbers.
That's right. Now we're going to go over to referrals, because this was another, if you remember, I'll go back to the overview here. We have social accounting for the vast majority, followed by organic search and referral. Before we click on that, I will jump to this fourth one, which is called direct. There's not much we have to know about that, except it is exactly what it sounds like. This is the number of people who have visited your website directly, meaning they typed it in to their browser, or they brought it up via a bookmark. So these are the people who are going to your site directly. And what does that mean? That means that people are, well, it can mean a few things, but one of the things it can mean is that people are interested to see what you're up to, or what you're doing, or what you're about. Or maybe somebody is researching your site and they bookmarked it, or they are pulling it back up from their browser session a week later, and it's not going to account for any other source but a direct. So let's go into referral. Now referral is exactly what it sounds like. What other websites are referring you traffic? So this is a small percentage, and it probably will be a small percentage. If you are listed in directories, this is where it will show. If you're in any of the pet sitting directories, or on Angie's list, or any of those sorts of directories, this is where it's going to show. So, Laura, you don't have any of those examples, so I really can't use them, but this will give you insight to how effective those referral sources are. Are you paying to be in a directory? Well, now you can see how effective it is. If you were paying to be in this directory down here and it's only sending you 2 visitors per 30 days, you should track that to see how effective those visitors were, or cancel that. So this is sort of how you can see. And again, this gives you the overall chart. So from all of your sources, you can see the bounce rate. You'll get to see, is Craigslist accounting for a high bounce rate? Are people from Yelp really consuming my content? Are people from Angie's list? That sort of a thing. So you can see all the columns that you typically have.
Josh, Mary Page wants to know know, she says she's getting a huge amount of referrals from cmalt.com.
Yep.
And so she wants to know what cmalt.com is.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you are literally reading my mind. I have it on my notes. I have it right here. If you see, Laura is no different. In fact, everybody is no different. Here's the thing, and it's called SEMAlt, SEMALT.com. You will see them in your results along with, before I get into the specifics, let me point out that there are a bunch of other things you're going to see. Here she has something called buttonsforwebsite.com. I guarantee you she didn't list herself on that site. She'll also see utahbankruptcytoday.com. Are you listed on the bankruptcy website? I guarantee not. What is this, including SEMAlt? This is an unfortunate bot that these scrupulous websites send out so they do land in your results. Why? Because now they're on your radar, now you're going to click on it, now you're going to visit it, and now you're going to see what am I here for? What is sending me this traffic? So 99 times out of 100, if you do not notice or recognize a website like this one has .com.tr, that TR is a foreign website, so I wouldn't touch that with anything. Here is hankman.si. That's these are bots that are sending. So more specifically, SEMAlt. If you were to Google this, you Google SEMAlt, you will see so many people discussing what in the world is this. Unfortunately, they're a big offender who send out bots. They claim that they're just trying to crawl the web and you're in their database. Believe me, you can ignore it. You do not need it. I do apologize for the confusions that they've caused because it's ridiculous and we all see that, and it does affect some of our numbers, but it's a small statistic. It's only in the referral source and you can still see everything else. In fact, if you were to Google something like SEMAlt remove domain or removal, they do have a page on their website where you can enter in your domain name, and they say if you don't want us showing up in your analytics or you don't want us crawling your website, type in your domain. I don't know how effective it is, but they have that, and that's what SEMAlt is.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Sure. So going back to the acquisition overview, this again at a glance, and you can drill down each further, and as you drill down you can see what every single source is, bounce rate, the pages per session, and how long they're staying to make educated decisions on what you should do next. If you are getting great traffic and engagement from Facebook, now you know, do more of that. If you're attempting Twitter or Pinterest or Google Plus and it's just not working, drop it or focus more on it, and then you can track your results. Fair enough? All right, we are going to go to the final piece of the puzzle, which is behavior. How's everybody holding up so far? Good?
Yeah, everyone seems interested, and This is great.
Good. Let's wrap it up with behavior. Obviously, this is what people are doing on your site. And we took a look, if you remember, we went to that audience snapshot with the user flow before. That gave us a little insight into what in the world is happening. So now this gives us behavior. And you see on the overview page, you have things like page views, which we saw in the very first overview, average time on page, bounce rate, and exit. Exit just means the percentage of people who are leaving based on a certain analytics that have consumed more than one page. So don't get caught up with percent exit. Bounce rate is the more substantial one. So here we're going to go over to site content, and we're going to look at all pages. This is obviously going to be where you can spend a good deal of your time, daily, weekly, monthly. This is a good snapshot because this is telling you exactly how many pages and what pages and what they're doing. Again, you have here when it says /, that's your home page. If it just says slash, it's your homepage. So of the 1,053 page views that Laura received in the past 30 days, 26% saw her homepage. Very interesting. So that means you're sending quite a bit of traffic, Laura, to your other pages, which are your blog posts, which is good. So here you see that your services page is your most second popular overall, followed by, look at this, understanding Google Analytics. Obviously, you promoted that this month, so that's why it's appearing there. But number 4, and I know you've worked hard on this one, questions answered about dog walkers, questions you don't want your clients to ask, so you can see where they fall. Furthermore, again, you can see the engagement with each individual page. So everybody watching right now, here is the most important part of this. We have in this column average time on page. This is going to tell you, so the home page, her average time on that page is almost 1.5 minutes. Her services page, almost 2 minutes. That's amazing. Her second most popular page, people are spending 2 minutes on that page. That is a long time. If you go over to any page and sit for 2 minutes, watch how long that is. That's wonderful, but oh my God, look at this. It gets your blog posts, Laura, 4 minutes, 5.5 minutes, 4.5 minutes, 3 minutes. What? That's amazing. What does this mean? It means your blog posts are effective. They're working. So everybody tuning in right now, if you look at this and you see average time on page, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 50 seconds, okay, not bad, but see how you can increase it. So if you look at this chart and you see one of your blog posts, if we're going to talk about articles and content creation for a minute, if you see one of your blog posts has a high engagement, see what it is about that post that was engaging. Was the title very attractive? Did you create a top 10 list that really excited people? Did you use video? Did you use a very lengthy article? Did you have a lot of pictures? Was it a Q&A with a team member? Did you highlight a client? Did you highlight a dog? Whatever it was, see what's working and see how you can replicate that even further. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Elaine has a specific question. If you can switch over and look, she has a specific question. And I'm thinking that it's a preview, her looking at a preview of one of her pages, but if you could just verify.
It certainly is. So Elaine's questions is, that's right, what is this? /policies, question mark, preview equals true. That is a WordPress generated preview URL link. It's exactly what I mentioned Laura did before. That means that at some point you were previewing your policies page and it got grabbed as a statistic. All right, let's get back to the show here. Good question. All right, so here we had site content. So that's a good page right here that you can see and do more of what's working. On the contrary, if you see one of your blog articles is not getting any engagement or any traffic, or you're sending traffic but nobody's spending any sort of time, figure out what adjustment you can make and do more of analyzing what is working. So now you see outside of her blog posts, we see her services page, high number 2 here, and then her next common page, non-article, is about us, which does represent the exact same metric we saw in the user flow chart that showed people are going to your services page and about us page. So again, what do? Make sure that those 2 pages have so much good information. Make sure if you're placing a video of yourself saying, hey guys, I'm Laura, founder and owner of Keep Me Company Pet Sitting, so happy you stopped by, whatever your video is, make sure that's front and center on your services page or on your About Us page, because those are your most popular. So say, hey, welcome to our website. On this page, you're going to see all the services we provide. Rest assured that every time we work with you and, whatever your video is going to be. Point being, look at these pages specifically knowing that the vast majority of your users are also looking at this page. Give them the tools they want and need to take action and convert and to get in touch with you. All right, that's the site content tab over here. All right, and this is the site content landing pages. This again shows the entrance page. So if you are blogging, like obviously Laura's blogging here, so outside of her homepage, which is the slash, it says landing page. And again, if you click on the question mark, most of these have question marks you can click on, and it'll show you what the number represents. This landing page says the pages through which visitors entered your site. So the vast majority, of course, are the home page, but Laura is directing traffic directly to these pages. And that's what this one signifies. So on that note, that actually wraps up our screen share. I showed you we worked with the audience tab here, which shows you the who. You click on it. The acquisition tab here shows you the how the people are finding you. And the behavior here shows you the what, the behavior. So let me jump back to the online camera. And as we get as we get more of your questions answered and we look to wrap up this entire show, I want to give you guys a quick word. How does all this flow? What do you have on your mind right now?
It's so fun to just go over because the numbers can show so much. That we need to update and refresh our pages, the services page, the About Us page, make sure they grab everybody's attention. We'll look at the blog posts that were the most popular. A lot of them have pictures. A lot of them answer the questions. So I did the top 10 questions that dog walkers answer about dog walking, and each question could in of itself be its own blog post. So do kind of a top 10 questions and then go into more detail using individual blogs or even individual videos, which we're going to start doing after listening to Ryan Hanley at the conference.
That's right. And as we wrap it up here, because I notice we're 90 minutes in, and I feel like we just even touched the surface. So as we wrap it up, and I will get into some specifics because I really hope to see you each inside Cary Institute, that I'm going to give you the details right now. As we wrap it up and get into it, if you could, in the chat box, let me know if this was helpful. Do you have a better idea from 90 minutes ago into where Google Analytics should play in your day-to-day activity? Do you have a little less intimidation, Rita and others? Do you know what you can do and should do? With that, because this is such an involved process, there is so much to consider, so much to do. So we are all really just breaking the surface here. I'm coming to the table with Cary Institute, which is my, I like to call, I love a mastermind. I thankfully have people like Laura, like Tori, who I can call anytime, and believe me, I have, to just lean on, to just cry on, to just say, hey, can you take a look at this? Does this work? Am I nuts for this? Hey, look what I just did. You need that support. I developed Cary Institute along with these two ladies and along with you guys, with your input, with what you need. Like I said earlier, the tagline is mastermind and marketing and magic. It's those three things, isn't it? So I want to give you guys the best opportunity to come inside. there are a variety of segments to this mastermind group. There is an entire forum, a message board, where you can get all of your questions answered based on a variety of topics. You can deal with us directly. You deal with your peers and colleagues directly. It's for you guys that really want to take things to the next level. It's really where I spend a lot of my time and where I give so much specific tangible videos and downloads and manuals and books. So you have the message board. You also have an entire SEO course that you can take on your own terms, on your own time. It breaks everything down for you, so you just get an idea of what SEO is and how to approach it. There's also a resource library that we add on a regular basis. We also have ongoing SEO and mastermind power chats, as we call them. Already waiting for you is an entire SEO chat session we did. You can listen to it. You can get all the information. But this is where we're going to have regular ongoing sessions where we all just group, we dial into a call, and we just hit on a topic that is relevant and much needed in our industry. So let me give you a quick look, and then I'll give you the details of how you join. And
I look at kind of when we formed Cary Institute, when you formed it, and I'm honored to be on board. Facebook is kind of the fun part, the college parties, the social and stuff like that. And Cary Institute is really the grad school. It's delving below the surface. It's getting the details. It's really bringing it to another level. So
that's right. And
it's awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Now here's just the public homepage. On your own time, please look into it. I give you everything you need to make the informed decision. If you like me, if you like what I do, if you like how I do it, this is really the place to join and connect. For those watching and listening right now, I want to offer you the best deal possible, and I want to give you a special promo code to use. Right now, the monthly membership is $37. You can drop that to $25, which is a 30% savings by using promo code HAPPY30, HAPPY30. Use the promo code HAPPY30 and you can drop down the monthly membership. If you want to save even more, you can opt for quarterly, which again, you get 30% off quarterly and you get 30% off annually, which already is discounted from the monthly. I hope you can see how excited I am about this. Furthermore, no matter which plan you use, if you opt to come in for the quarterly or the annual, that will get you a one-on-one session with me going through your analytics just like we did. If you want to spend your time on another topic, we can make that work too. But for all purposes, get in on the quarterly or the annual membership, and you will be able to reserve at your leisure, whenever you want, a one-on-one 45-minute phone session with me. And believe me, they usually last upwards of 60 minutes, but I'll guarantee you the 45 and we'll make it happen. So I really hope you come on board. It's Cary.io, and you can click on the Join Today button. You'll be able to see. You can see what we have inside. You can click all around. I'm not going to spend time doing this. You can do that on your own terms. When you're ready, you click Join Today. Please do use promo code HAPPY30 to get your 30% discount for any membership level. And that's that. I hope to see you guys inside, because that is where we shall keep the conversation going. If you want any additional help, that's what we're here for. Any final thoughts, ladies?
I'm just excited for the launch of Cary Institute and to get more information and better information, and like attracts like. So people who want to not only make their business bigger, but also better. And this is going to do it. It's already made my business better.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I did just put up the link. So if you're watching this live, you should see the link. And Elaine, you absolutely are a member. So I hope to see you inside because I know you said you're a member. You already are. Membership has been open on a smaller scale. This is the first time we're announcing it far and wide. I really hope you learned. I'm always available to keep the conversation going. If it's not inside Cary Institute, you can find me on Facebook.com/PetSittingology and any number of other avenues where you know to find me. This has been invigorating. I love doing these. I look forward to more of these. And I want to thank you all for spending upwards of 100 minutes with us today. You included, Tori. Thank you so much. Laura, thank you for sharing your real analytics with us. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.